You're using a money transfer service like Zelle, Venmo, PayPal, or even Apple Pay. You hit send, the money leaves your account, but the recipient never gets it. Your bank won't tell you where it went. Money transfer service won't tell you where it went. The recipient's bank has no record of any transaction. What do you do? Well, that was a question that I actually had to answer because that was a scenario that I was in, only I was the recipient. So it's an interesting story, but I don't tell it to bash any of these companies. Today what we're going to do is I'm going to tell you how I was able to figure out what happened and how I can use that information to help you avoid it. Because these companies are not going to help you if it happens to you, but you can avoid it in the first place. So that's what we're going to get to today. So the money transfer story from hell. I am going to try and long story short this thing to the best of my absolute ability, and it is difficult, but I'm going to try. Okay? So what we have here is I had a business partner, okay, and he actually owed me some money, and it was from a transaction. It was actually personal. It was the sum of $1,300, and he was out of town at the time. He decided to pay me back. So what he did was his bank was Wells Fargo, my bank was Chase. Okay, and what he decided to do was he said, listen, I'm going to send this via my online bill pay. I just put your phone number in, and they're going to be able to, connect with your online bill pay at Chase because it's listed as one of the banks, and you'll just basically get the money just by being putting in your phone number. I said, okay, fine. Probably doesn't sound like that great of an idea, send $1,300, but okay, I'll do it. So he sent that on a Friday, and I didn't get it. And I actually didn't even think anything of it. I'm just thinking a large amount of money using my phone number. So maybe give it over the weekend. Then Monday came and went, nothing. Finally, Tuesday of that, later that week, of the next week, sorry, he, I told him, I said, listen, it's still not there. So he called his bank and he said, yeah, listen, it definitely got sent out. Give him this confirmation number. I checked with my bank. He said, no, we don't have any record of that. So after talking about 2 or 3 people, because Wells Fargo was just adamant that they had sent that money, and they were like, tell them to do this and tell them to do that. And we actually at one point got on the phone, like one of their bankers and our bankers. So their banker has to clear with me to talk to them, and then with the other person on the phone, my business partner, and then their bank has to do the same thing with me. And it takes like 10 minutes just to get these 2 people on the phone. And then what we came to was the conclusion of, no, the money didn't go to Chase. So that was a pain in and of itself. But I was trying to actually, what I was trying to do at that point was figure out, okay, well, where do I go? Because we know that the money got sent somewhere, right? But I have Wells Fargo telling me that it definitely went to Chase. I have Chase telling me that it definitely didn't go to them. So I start contacting fraud, and I said, listen, just for the heck of it, man, I'm going to report a case here. Like, well, you can't report fraud because you can't confirm that anything fraudulent happened. We don't have a record of anything, so how could there be fraud? Listen, I'm just trying to get some help. So fraud department wouldn't help me. I finally started talking to a couple of different techs. So I'm on probably my 4th person here. And the person says, maybe the problem is that you're not signed up for online bill pay. And I said, well, yeah, I am. So, well, I went in here and your phone number is not registered. Here's where it gets interesting. So I go in and I say, okay, this is neat. Let me put in my phone number. Let me just register. Maybe that's why. Maybe the money's just sitting in thin air, right? Not coming in. Let me register my phone number real quick. I put my phone number in and it says this number is already in use. Well, that's interesting to me. So I told the person, I said, well, it says the number's already in use, so I have it on my bill pay. I said, no, you definitely don't. Let me just reset the system and see what happens. So they reset it. I put my phone number in and it allowed me to sign up. I told them, listen, I know I was signed up for online bill pay. I worked at Wells Fargo for 2 years. I signed up, I don't even know how many people for online bill pay because it's a free part of having a checking account at these places. And I actually liked it. Someone who was selling something they actually liked and used themselves. And when I went over to Chase, I still had accounts at Wells Fargo. They're just business. When I went over to Chase, I would have done that. And they would have asked me to do it. And I wouldn't have said no. So those 2 things together, I know I signed up for online bill pay. And I actually remembered it because, like I said, just being in banking, I remembered what would happen. So I knew I signed up for it. But I waited a day. I said, well, let's give this 24 hours and maybe that was the problem. And, whatever. I don't know. Who knows what happened? Well, the money still never showed up. And it kind of occurred to me at that point that something wasn't right, fraudulently. Before I was just kind of reaching out to the fraud department for the heck of it. But now I was like, wait a second. Something clearly wasn't right with my account. Something that I had done wasn't the way that I found it. So something isn't right here. The person, my business partner, was actually pretty resilient himself. And he was finally on the phone with someone at Wells Fargo way out in corporate in California, way up high in their fraud department. Because he said, listen, they're not, my money went somewhere. It left my account. It isn't where it was supposed to have gone. So fraud, right? He actually has a case because he has money missing. I couldn't get the Chase fraud department because there was no record of anything. It's one of those things policy wise. So he's on the phone with this person. This person said, listen, I'm gonna break it down to you. Okay. The money didn't go to Chase. Okay. Well, where did it go? We can't tell you that. That's private information. and this is something, this is where the scam gets brilliant. Okay, whoever did this, and yes, this is a scam. This was intentional. We'll get to that in a minute. The beauty of this is that banks cannot communicate with each other about information that isn't theirs. Okay, they can see it if they do business. So a bank, someone at Wells Fargo can see something about accounts at Chase all day long. They just can't tell anyone about it, and vice versa, right? So that really is the beautiful part of this, is that you're working within these institutions and they're not able to tell the account holders or the people that have lost money a thing. And you're just left to figure it out all on your own. So that's what happened. So he told me this and I said, okay, now I know what happened. And it might have clicked for you by now, so I'm just going to go ahead and tell you anyway. What happened was someone was able to remove my phone number from my online bill pay, okay, and use that phone number to establish it with another bank account number somewhere else, okay, so that when he sent the number to my phone number, the transfer initiated, it just went to this other account somewhere else. And we were actually able to find out that it went to a TD bank account, okay? So I had contacted Zelle. Of course, it wasn't Zelle at that time. It was Clear Exchange. And if you look up Zelle, you'll see that it was Clear Exchange here you can see on Wikipedia, it was Clear Exchange, and it's owned by Bank of America, BB&T, Wells Fargo, Chase, all the big wigs are in it. Okay. But I contacted them and I said, listen, we know now that the money left Wells Fargo and that it didn't go to me. Okay, so they start looking some things up. The woman I spoke to, very nice lady out in Arizona, I believe, or New Mexico or something, said, yeah, give me a couple days to look this up and see what happened. She calls me back. She says the same thing. She says, listen, I see an account here that was set up in our system. Okay, so what someone did, they actually manually went to Clear Exchange and set up a transfer. Okay, now I might have discussed this earlier, but what happens is if you don't have a bank that has online bill pay, you can set up a transfer manually at one of these places. Now, again, maybe with Zelle and everything else, you just do it on your phone now. People don't have to do this, but let's say when they started doing this phone number transfer thing, you had a small rural bank somewhere, okay, that didn't have online bill pay. You could go into Clear Exchange, type in your routing and account number, attach it to your phone number, and essentially use the system just like anybody else would. You could have somebody anywhere just punch up your phone number into the system and send you money, via mobile from Wells Fargo or Chase or any of these other banks in their system. And that's what they did. Is it was kind of a big system that essentially once you registered your phone number, it was now off the market, right? No one could touch it, because if anyone could set up a phone number at any online bill pay, how would the system know, right? When someone texts the number and said, okay, I'm going to send you $50 to this number. Well, if there's 30 accounts out there with that phone number, how does it know where to send the money? So you can only use one phone number once. Now rewind and think a little bit, right? What happened when I was on the phone with people at Chase? They said, hey, you're not signed up for online bill pay. And then when I put my number in, it said this number is already being used. And only when they reset it was I able to actually sign up for online bill pay. So essentially when they reset it, they just deleted everything that someone had done. Okay. Still unclear about that. But anyway, going back now to talking to the people at Clear Exchange, she said, listen, I can see that it was sent to an account that isn't at Chase. Okay. Well, we're on the same page now with what we know from Wells Fargo. And she said, I can see a name here, but I can't tell you what it is. And so, okay, well, we're playing that game again, the privacy game. Okay. So if you're telling me that there's a name there that you can't tell me what it is, I'm going to assume it's not mine. So I did a little, reverse quizzing. I said, well, all right, I'll tell you what, you can't tell me what the name is, but you can tell me what it isn't. Is it my name? And she said, no. Okay. So we're good now. Now we know it's a name. So why aren't we reporting fraud again? Well, because someone established this and we can't, properly conclude that you're the, accurate recipient of it. And there's no proof that you were actually the one that was supposed to receive this money because, and again, let me try to squeeze this in. Okay. What happens, and another beautiful part of this scam is the money was sent to the account of the phone number that you punched in. So if you punch in blah, 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 well, that's where the money went. So technically, Wells Fargo can claim we did all we were supposed to do. We sent it to the phone number you entered. And then Clear Exchange or Zelle or any of these transfer services say, well, we sent it to the account link with the phone number that you put in. And that phone number that we put in was correct. So it's not our problem. And everyone on down the line can all claim that they only did what their procedures told them to do, which is we send it out to this number in our system. Whatever account that's attached to, we don't input that account. We don't make that account. People do. So we're not at fault. So Wells Fargo says call Clear Exchange. Clear Exchange says call Chase. Chase says call Clear Exchange and Wells Fargo. Chase says, well, we have no record of it. So what can we do? We can't do anything. We have no record. We can't fix a problem that on our end doesn't exist. And who's wrong, really? Legally, I don't know. I wasn't really able to find it out. Now, for $1,300, I can't necessarily hire an attorney to find out either. And the the FBI, okay, or any federal agency that handles these kind of things, they don't have the time to go after $1,300 problems. And, who knows how rampant this is? Who knows how many times this has happened? But, so essentially you're on your own. All right. And I was on my own trying to figure this out. Now, I can't remember how, but I was able to find out, I think calling back to someone at Clear Exchange, I was able to find out that it was TD Bank, that money went to TD Bank. Okay. Or maybe it was a person at Wells Fargo. I don't know. So I contacted TD Bank and I said, listen, your bank received stolen funds, is it possible for you to just communicate with Wells Fargo or communicate with Clear Exchange, right? Just get these places to talk to each other. Because if you can't tell me, you can at least communicate with each other and you can say, here's this transaction, here's where our customer says it was supposed to go. You can verify that's not where it went and we can establish that there's some fraud here. And the problem was none of them would talk to each other. Clear Exchange and Zelle wouldn't talk to anybody. And listen, this is all suspicion here. Okay, everything I say from here on out, I have no idea. Okay, right when this was happening was when this was up. Clear Exchange is about to become Zelle. Literally, Zelle, that product had not launched yet. It was about to launch in about a month or two. Okay, my suspicion is that nobody wanted this to be out there. Okay, now I didn't know all these banks owned them at the time, right? But if I'm thinking about this, if we're involved in the middle of JP Morgan Chase screwing up and allowing my account to get violated, okay, somehow, Wells Fargo sending the money somewhere they weren't supposed to sending a customer's money somewhere where it wasn't supposed to go. And then, Zelle allowing it all to happen on their end by allowing someone to sign in and create a fake transfer order on their end. You got a mess, a pretty big mess for a massive product launch that they don't need. And for whatever reason, I never got anybody to address it. And I said, listen, I don't want to sue you. I don't want to do it. I just want you guys to fix this, man. Because, I could afford to be without the $1,300 for 6 months. How many people out there can't? That's a problem. Um, so essentially, I tracked the last person to have the money. That was the route that I went. I said, you know what, if I go after the last person that had the money, that's probably our best bet. And that was Wells Fargo. Okay. So I just harassed the living hell out of them. And what I actually did was I actually did it because I'm a customer, but I actually wrote the letters because that's just what I'm good at, is writing and doing all that stuff. I actually wrote all that stuff on behalf of my business partner. So I'd have him sign it and everything. So it was, it wasn't really me. It was me writing it, but I was doing it on behalf of him. And finally, I just got a letter in the mail. Nobody tried to call me. Nobody tried to email me. I just got a letter in the mail with a check and a short letter. And it just essentially, in the polite lingo, just said, please leave us the heck alone. Here's the money. Go away. So it worked out. But yeah, man, it was a freaking nightmare. And I was able to finally get a tech on the phone at Chase. And I got some what you would say is more that I can't tell you, but I'm going to do one of these. And the guy said to me, he said, it would be possible for someone on the back end, inside of our system, to remove someone's phone number from their online banking, and that you wouldn't know about it, that you would never get an alert. And my suspicion is, and again, I'm going just off suspicion here, that what happened was someone within Chase was able to remove because, let me rewind. The fraud department did do a check, and it took them, I don't know, a day or something. They came back. They did do a check and verify that no one, as far as they could tell, had gotten into my account. There were no suspicious accesses to my account from any random or odd IP addresses. Everything was from my home or from my phone, or everything was normal. So no one ever accessed my account. And what I kind of figured out was someone in Chase had to have done that. And then when I was talking to that tech, I said, is someone able to do this? He's like, I can't say no, but I can't say yeah. It was literally, that was the conversation. It was just like that other lady where I was like, well, you can't tell me it isn't my, whose name it is, but you can tell me it's not me. It was just like that for like 4 or 5 questions. I was like, okay, so is this possible? And then he'd be like, yes, that is definitely possible, but I can't say. And it was really weird. But essentially what he was trying to do was confirm with me that someone within the bank probably removed my phone number. So I was still technically signed up for a level of the online bill pay, just not my phone number. And that freed up the phone number so that someone could then assign that phone number to an outside account at TD Bank, so that one day, whenever somebody would send money to that phone number, I would think I have online bill pays, and it just would go to another account. And I guess if you could just do that, right? Continuously do that over and over and over again, and just take people's phone numbers off of that system and just assign them to other accounts, you can siphon it. Somebody just sends a transfer one day. I mean, that's all it takes. And listen, I worked in a bank for 2 years, and I had no idea that had happened, that my phone number wasn't registered. I had absolutely no idea. It could, if he had never sent me that money, I would still to this day not know that my phone number isn't transferred on there, that my phone number wasn't on there. So that's just something you have to watch out for. I'm sorry for this. This thing is going on like 18 minutes here, even though the whole story went on 6 months, and I probably lost track and jumped around a little bit. But the bottom line here is this thing was a friggin' nightmare. Okay. And none of these people wanted to help me out because they all had plausible deniability. They all had a reason not to help me. And that was the beautiful part. And I'm going to say it again. That was the beautiful part of this scam. And one of the most frustrating moments for me was with Chase. Okay. Who legitimately, I don't know what happened on the inside, but they legitimately did not get any money coming into them. Right. So there wasn't really anything to fix up front or anything like that. But one of the most frustrating parts for me was when I narrowed down on the back end my account, my online bill pay. Okay, that it was unregistered at the time this transfer went through, but that I had registered it when I opened the account. And I got some woman from Indianapolis, which is their headquarters. Okay, I got some woman on there, and well, one of their headquarters, sorry, big bank. So I got some woman on the phone, and I said, listen, can you verify for me that I had signed up for online bill pay with my phone number when I opened the account? Yes, I can. Okay, on the same page. When this transfer went through and got sent into outer space, such and such a date. I used the date, right? Because they won't acknowledge the transfer happened. So I said, on this such and such date, I was not signed up, right? She said, yes. Okay, 2 questions down. We're on the same page. Let's go for 3. I got to the 3rd question. The woman says, well, I don't know when you were unregistered for the online bill pay. Well, can you find that out? Well, sir, we have no record of the transactions. And, I don't remember the in the weeds of it, but the point is what I was trying to get her to do was verify that I had signed up for it and that I wasn't signed up for it. Find out the moment that I stopped being signed up for online bill pay. Isolate that date. Find out where and when it happened. Because, hey, listen, these banks right now, they can do it. If you work at a bank or anybody like this, you can do that. Okay? I was trying to get her to isolate that date that I became unsigned up for. The online bill, I don't know how to say it, so I'm really sorry. But I was unregistered for the online bill pay through my phone number. And then if they had that date, they could get the fraud department to look at who accessed my account that day, whether it be from inside the bank or not. Listen, these banks, you can't do anything with an account without knowing exactly where and when that happened. What IP address it came in from, anything. They'll know exactly who did what. And if they had that date, they can look at who accessed my account that day and who made that change. And she wouldn't do it. And that alone right there, that little interaction told me that there was something going on behind the scenes at Chase. You told me that I was signed up for it when I opened the account. You told me that when this transfer date occurred that I wasn't signed up, but you refused to tell me the day that I took my phone number apparently off of my online bill pay. You just won't give me that date. It doesn't make any sense. So that's my story. If you were able to go through this whole thing, God bless you, man. But yeah, essentially to protect yourself, just make sure your phone number is registered for your online bill pay. If you've listened this far, like I said, God bless you again. If you have any questions, just go ahead and feel free to answer them. Go ahead and feel free to ask them in the comment section below or wherever I may post this. Again, I'm sorry. I know it was probably all over the place. I was trying to keep 6 months all down into, now I'm at 20 minutes. So I was trying to wind all this stuff down. So if you guys have any additional questions, please feel free to ask. I'm just here to help, guys, and I want to make sure this thing doesn't happen to you. And I don't know if anybody out there has also had this happen to them. Shoot, man, I'd love to hear it. Go ahead and tell me about it. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for listening, and have a good one.